Hey guys, how are you? I am back. Magetsa Mboenda. And I put on my generator, but then I just took the time to just check out, what people are saying on social media and all that other stuff. Okay. So let me just get this to share this. And then I'm going to play. I finally found the ZTN interview. I found the ZTN interview. That's the cool thing. I found the ZTN interview. It is so awesome that I found the ZTN interview. So I'm going to play that one. So remember, the ZTN interview is the one ina Tembelami, Chipumbu, Edith, and whatnot. Okay, so I'm gonna play it. All right, and I just need to share this as well. All right, so just a reminder, I am playing this for the purposes of making a commentary on it, so it's fair use. And you're just going to see that you can see right now from my laptop. I'm just playing that. Okay. So that's cool. So let me play as I am also just sharing this. Okay.
Hello and good evening. This is The Chase on ZTN Prime. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. It's a very good evening to you all. Now, on The Chase today, we have our discussion, Singing for a Song, investigating the loyalty gap at Zimura. Now, in the recording booths of Mbali, creatives are crafting music, they're crafting art that is bringing in thousands of dollars each and every year, generating millions in digital live streams as well as streaming fees. Yet, the annual royalty checks from the Zimbabwe Music Rights Association seems to not match up with what they are apparently racking in. While executives are reportedly drawing thousands in monthly salaries, some legendary artists and rising stars themselves are receiving peanuts, sometimes as little as $5 or even $20 yearly. Now, as of January 2026, the crisis has reached a breaking point. A civil war has erupted within Zimura's own boardroom, with high-ranking members fired for blowing the whistle on the shady sales of the association's Avondale property and the alleged diversion of artist funds. The message from the musicians is quite clear. The Zimbabwe's music is being sold for a song, but the creators aren't the ones that are keeping the change. Now, The Chase today is delving into this alleged captured governance, the missing millions, and the systematic failure to protect the people who keep Zimbabwe singing. Joining me in studio today is Fred.
Okay, so that's the ZTN interview I was talking about. And it's interesting what they say. And they say while thousands are being made, not very sure where that is being based on, like something that she said. I'll go back to it again. But let me just, like I said, share this on WhatsApp. I need to share this on WhatsApp. As I'm waiting for people to come through, people are gonna be joining me, and I'm actually gonna post this on YouTube as well after. So I'm just gonna move into it, even if I don't get a lot of people joining me. But if you do join me, just let me know. I am going to just do that. So let's get this moving. Hey, Victor, how are you, my brother? So good to see you. So good to see you. I hope you're good. I am just sharing this on WhatsApp to some people, but I'm gonna play. My brother Victor, did you watch that ZTN interview? Yangaina Tembelami. And then here's the other cool thing that I did. I hope you guys can see. I have the company's act, the Zimura Memorandum of Association. The 1 SPA special resolution passed 8 May 2023. So I'm gonna, I don't know, Zimura Memorandum. I also have, because today some fix, I also have audited accounts. This is the Zimbabwe Music Rights Association audited financial statements for 2022. For the year ended 31 December 2022. Then I also have audited financial statements for the year ended 2023. And I also have audited financial statements for 2024. All right. So, guys, I've got audited financial statements here. This is the audited financial statements for Zimura for 2024. So, the first thing I would ask people who say, hey, we need an audit, is to ask people, Guti, Zimura already is audited. And I wonder if a lot of people were talking about these audits have even gone through these statements. Kubva kunana Derek, Amuli, Joseph Karakara, Chichi, have they gone through this? So I'm going to go through all of this stuff, but let me play more of the ZTN interview. It also has a little bit less
a
volume.
musician.
Yeah.
We also have Philip Chifumbu, musician, as well as Tembelami.
So
And joining us
Temba,
via Zoom on the line, we have Edith Katiji, who is the president of ZIMU, or the Zimbabwe Musicians Union, as well as Ngabuto Gumede, who is a creative industry consultant. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to the chase.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, it is prudent to note that we had also invited Henry Makombe, who is the deputy director of Zimura, but we just received a message before we started recording that he could not make it to the show. His message read that the panel was unbalanced, hence they could not come through and speak to us today.
And I mean, he was right.
Please also note that all the views that have been expressed on the chase
panel
today are those of our guests and do not reflect the views of Zim Papers 1980 or those of ZTN Prime. Let's get straight to the chase. Now, you are musicians, Tembelami, Philip, Fred, you're all musicians.
Yes. Okay, so this interview, I liked that. That's why this I shared, I'm going to share. I know a lot of people haven't even watched the interview, but I'm just going to make commentary and play it, making commentary. The other interview is the DJ Ollah interview. It was a very long interview, 2-hour interview. On the one that I had done, on the reflections and revelations, Zimura members speak out. And this thing is 2 hours, 24 minutes. I've watched both of them, right? I'm making commentary on this because I've watched both of them. 11 minutes, there's a lot.
Job is to defend the organization. Zimura has got 5,200 members. And we cannot be held at ransom, 3, 4. Okay. We've got a multitude of musicians that are saying, we are behind you.
Okay, so let me go to the ZTN interview. And Gwenzi says something there in his interview that there are people who are actually supporting Zimura, who are members of Zimura who are supporting Zimura. And this is not a lie, this is true. I said when I did my other thing that what happens is sometimes you've got people who are the loudest, and then it seems like, okay, everyone is going in that direction. But that doesn't always translate to that's what's happening. So what I'm going to do is I just want to send this to some more people to get people to join me. All right. There we go. Okay. So, like I said, guys, ndataura ndikati ndauya ne-evidence because I have come with I've come with the audited financial statements, and I have come with my memorandum of association. Okay, so anyway, let's go on with the ZTN interview.
Have sometimes publicly aligned yourselves with Derek Mpofu and others, and who were dismissed rather by Zimura. From your position as musicians, what do you understand about this dismissal, and what does this resonate with you as musicians?
We're on our fourth print, and it's almost gone.
Okay, that's
Here's why we can't keep up. We're currently on our fourth.
YouTube and adverts.
For me personally, I think it's a sad
So
day
this is
when we have to
Timberland.
see musicians fighting and playing out on social media, because I've been following the conversations, and one of the things that I know is there's no perfect organization. Zimura has been in existence since 1982. The problems that are there can be fixed, but they will not be fixed on social media. And it was a bit sad to see the board members that we elected just a few months ago go on a public platform to say we've been fired or someone has fired us. And
Okay, so that's
I'm
Timberland.
not sure, and I think
Right.
Mr. Chifumbu.
So I liked how Tembelami came in, and Tembelami says, listen, putting all this stuff on social media, yeah, he didn't agree with that. And what I like is Tembelami is a member of Zimura. Tembelami was running within the last election. So they say, right, I'm a member of Zimura Kanyara. He is a member who's speaking. He's speaking his mind. I don't necessarily say I agree with Tembelami, but what he said up, I totally agree with it. I agree with him 100%. And I just want to continue playing because I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's the one who's saying this, and this is the beauty of me playing so that you can hear this audio. Let's hear what Tembelami has to say. Okay.
As
So
a board
there's
member
Tembelami.
will be maybe more privy to what it takes for someone to be fired as a board member in terms of the bylaws that I'm not sure of. But one thing I know is no one benefits from all this noise. The only thing that we get is we are going to destroy a 40-something-year-old institution that has the capacity to collect royalties. And
So this is where I disagree with him. When he says no one benefits from all this noise. The musicians as a body do not benefit from this noise. But Vana Derek, Nana Amuli, Nana Garakara, they benefit from this noise. That's why they are making noise. Because these guys who couldn't, within corporate structures, be able to do what they needed to do. So they decided to make noise. That's why they are making noise. Ndosa Havana Edith, the president of Zimu, making noise because they know if they make noise, they are trying to get the public. They're trying to get public sentiment on their side. This is how people work. When people want to, when people are dealing, it's politics. So, Nambotaura, when I said let's have an honest and brutal conversation, understanding that a lot of this has to do with power, a lot of this has to do with politics, a lot of this, that's what it has to do. So, I disagree with Tembelami. Paguti, it doesn't benefit anyone. Vana Derek, Nana, whatever, this faction of three, they are making noise because they benefit from the noise. And this is where I think Zimura needs to be better. Because Zimura likes keeping quiet, likes turning the other cheek while people are destroying its reputation and whatever. I think this is me, personally, as a Zimura member. I'm just an ordinary Zimura member. Tembelami is also a Zimura member. I believe Zimura should start speaking out. I don't know, Koma Victor, what you think. But let's continue with the ZTN interview. Let's continue. Let's hear what Tembelami has to say.
benefits for songwriters across Zimbabwe. After we've destroyed it, we might not have the systems to put it back. And the biggest issue that we are having as musicians is we have involved a lot of people that are not supposed to be part of all of this. I thought the first point of
I like that. He says, Tembelami says, the biggest issue is we have involved people who are not supposed to be part of this. That is making sense. Why? Because this is supposed to be a Zimura in-house issue. But you see, the faction of 3 has gone out and is trying to make people who are not members of Zimura come to their cause. Right? That's why you have people like Wana Plot Marco. Plot Marco has basically become the publicist for the faction of 3. He has also basically become this is why I say to him, he's biased. He's not doing journalism because now he's working more like an activist to further his own causes because he has his own agenda. So what's happening now in this whole Zimura thing is there are people with their own agenda. But anyway, let's go on with Tembelami. What Tembelami is saying, he had a lot to say. This is a long interview, by the way. It's an hour. And I'm giving commentary and also trying to come in with other things.
Our call when a dispute like this arises would be either arbitration first, and then if that fails, then we go to court. There is no reason why Mike Johnson from Budiriro, who has nothing to do with music, should be seeing artists cursing each other on social media. It's never a good look. We're celebrities. We're people that people look up to. So whatever we do, we should be able to deal with our issues and find ways to resolve them without getting bloggers that will tweet and say things for likes at the detriment of our organization. Mm-hmm. Because right now we only have one collecting organization and we have one that is mushrooming but is still growing, maybe hasn't reached to that potential to collect nationwide. So
okay. Interesting stuff there, Temba. Tembelami. The thing about the faction of 3 is basically they want to destroy. I think I saw the Derek on calling out. I saw on ZFM said calling out for the deregistration of Zimura. In my first video today, it was quite a long video. There's a lot to talk about as I try and make people understand the things that are going on in this whole fiasco, the background, the politics, everything that is going on. And remember, Tembelami is also a member of Zimura. Tembelami also ran in the election, right? He ran and he lost. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with that. These things happen. And so I like what he's saying, because he's saying, and take note of how he mentions that there's another mushrooming one. You know, this other organization, people don't even know it. Zimura is, and people want to claim that Zimura is a monopoly, but no, Zimura is not a monopoly. Zimura has 5,000 members. Zimura holds the catalog of most of the music that is played in Zimbabwe. Because people want to be members of Zimura. Yes, is the organization perfect? No. The organization is not perfect. It's got issues. There is no organization that does not have issues. But when it comes to which one is the biggest organization, the one with the most of the catalogs, it's Zimura. Anyway, let me go back to DJ Ollah's podcast. Right, we've got this ZTN one. We've got also DJ Ollah's podcast. I just want to play this and then.
Yes. Who are supporting you? No, we've got so many musicians.
Yeah, from those, so many.
You know what? Besides those that are publicly supporting us, Zimura is made up of all the popular musicians that you.
Which ones are publicly supporting you?
Yeah, because one of the things I think that people are saying is to say Zimura is wrong because no one is publicly supporting Zimura. And this is where it becomes important for members of Zimura. You see what DJ Ollah is asking. And I know a lot of people have asked me, why are you so invested in this issue? Listen, I am a member of Zimura. I'm a card-carrying member of Zimura, a 10-year card-carrying member. There are so many other members of Zimura as well. There are a lot of people, and they are silent. Why? Because Tembelami brought out the point of why people are silent. You're not going to be able to see celebrities going online and getting into this issue, because it doesn't do good for your brand when you do that. And then now you have to argue with individuals who do not understand or might not know what is going on, because that's what's happening. I explained to someone that this becomes a rage culture, where we have people who are just jumping onto the wagon but do not understand. For example, people will say Zimura does not do audits. That's a lie. That is a lie. I am holding in my hand, this is the audited financial statements for 2022. This, I can read through it. But maybe we can ask, why do most musicians not know about the audit? Because most musicians are not interested in accounting. You see, this is where we have a problem as a nation. You see, our country does not have a music industry. As a musician, if we were in a functioning economy, as a musician, I would have an accountant, I would have a lawyer, I would have a team. This is where I told people that music is supposed to be an industry that actually creates employment. So anyway, for all those people who say Zimura does not have audited accounts, you are liars. My audited accounts are, because Zimura holds audited. Just want to read this. Zimbabwe Music Rights Association. This is the first page of it. But these things are not interesting to people. Even kuchikoro chaiko tinoza kuti vanhu vanga vasingafariri maths, vanga vasingafariri shom, vanga vasingafariri accounting. So people are more interested, for example, in gossip and whatever. We've even had people talk about these things. Kuti people are more interested in my podcast. You can see, if we have a podcast, right? For example, if I have a podcast like mine where I'm explaining issues, going into detail, people are not really interested in that. But I'm hoping that this conversation is going to create interest for people to actually start doing more of a learning educational drive. So this is the 2022 audited financial statements for Zimura. And then it reads, principal activities. The Zimbabwe Music Rights Association is a non-profit making organization. Its main business is that of collective administration of copyright. It has 4 branches throughout the country. So this was when we had the old board. The chairperson was Albert Nyati. Deputy chairperson was First Batani. The legal advisor was Witness Jangaja. The treasurer was Janet Manyo. She's a musician. People should know this. Some people didn't even know that, because obviously she kept very silent for obvious reasons, right? Because it's very tricky to get yourself involved in these issues when people are saying right? And then the other members of the board, we have Alexio Gwenzi, Honorable Digimuzi Puti, Mudua Hood, and at that time, Philip Chipumbu was a member of this board. All right? And the principal bankers, Stuart Bank, Avodo Branch, Harare, ZB Bank, Avodo Branch, Harare. Then the registered offices, Zimbabwe Music Rights Association, 3 Aspen Flats, number 80 Mendel Road, right? And then the auditors for the 2022 Zimura financial statements was the Global Village, Chartered Accountants, Zimbabwe, number 8 North Ampton Crescent, Eastleigh, Harare, Zimbabwe. So an audit was done. And the audit has got a lot of stuff. But this is what I'm saying, to say who will be interested in the audit. Because now we're going to go into the audit, the index to the financial statements for the year ended 31 December 2022. Then we have the management responsibility statement, that's on page 1 to 2. We have the independent auditor's report, that's on page 3 to 6. We have the statement of financial position, that is page 7. We have the statement of distribution, that is page 8. We have the statement of income and expenditure, that's page 9. We have the statement of changes in reserves, that's page 10. We have the statement of cash flows, that's page 11. We have the notes to the financial statements, that's page 12 to 19. Which musician would be interested in this? You see, that's the thing. Because as musicians, we don't really, a lot of musicians are not financially literate, if we can say that. I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but this is the truth. So this is, I've got all of them, but anyway, let's go back to that ZTN interview because there's a lot to cover. I'm gonna try and give commentary and get into issues, and yeah, it's very tricky, but I'm gonna say as much as I can and help out where we are going with this thing.
If you go to a place like South Africa, they've two, Kapaso and Samro collects for is a collection agency like Zimura, and then Kapaso now does digital collections. But there are two CMOs that collect for different rights, which is something that I was hoping that we would have
as Zimbabwe.
As Zimbabwe, another collecting organization that collects for digital rights. But the biggest issue that we are having now is we are lions that are fighting each other whilst the zebra walks away.
Philip, what's your take on this dismissal? Like Timbalami said, you might have better knowledge and understanding as to why and how someone might get dismissed.
Yeah, ndichatidzokere kumashure because inini anditaure zvinhu zvekunzwa. Ndakatenge ndiri muboard rezimura. Ndakaelectwa 2017, ndikazoelectwa futi rwepiri 2022. Saka handitaure yese. Ndinotaura umboo hwemaitikiro ari kuita zvinhu zimura because ndakaita member, ndikaita board member. Ndinounderstanda. Kutaura chokwadi sister. Situation.
Okay, so here we go with Chipumbu. So there we have, for those who don't know Chipumbu, and I've read the 22. Ladies, I hope you can see that. I'm going to try and make it more visible, right? That is the audited statements. You can see here. For 2022, Chipumbu was there. This is the guy. This is the guy who has caused problems for Zimura because he sent Zimura to court. And, yeah. So a lot of people don't know. He is not a member of Zimura anymore, by the way, because he was kicked out of the organization. But he has been fighting. First, he was fighting, saying, I'm still a board director. Fighting. Even there, on the, after board runner Derek Racho was done, he was still fighting and saying, I am still a board director. And the inside information that I've now gotten is that Vana, Derek, Amuli, Nagaragara were actually unhappy when Chipumbu was defeated on the recent one. The way Zimura then released a statement, Kuti, we want you to know that Zimura is one. They were unhappy with that. Because those guys were actually calling, Kuti, we need to call back the guys of Ataka Zinga. Because now if you remember, Kuti, during the election, Garakara and Amuli, their election videos was taken by Finto, who was kicked out of the organization. But for their election manifesto videos, those were taken by Finto. And for us as people who were contesting that election, we raised an alarm and said, no, these guys should be barred from the election because they are working hand in hand with people who want to destroy the if these guys had been barred from the election, we wouldn't have problems. But you see, Zimura is very democratic in that way. Because I think it was the chairperson Albanyat who said, no, democracy, what. But it has brought us where we are today. But anyway, let's go on with Chipumbu.
Iribed. Kana tichiti iribed. Ngatidzokei titarise lifestyle yemamusicians edu. Vaimbi vari kutambura zvakatonyanya. Pane picture inonopiwa kupublic nevanhu vari kuzimura. Inini pachangu ndakaita press conference musi wa 26 April 2023. Mushure mekunge paitwa misuse yemari isingagoni kutsanangurwa nanhasi kuti kwakashandiswa mari. Ndakamboisa nyaya kukoti ikatadza kutsanangurwa. Vakaunza umbo wezvimwe zvese but wemari yakashandiswa. Vakangoti taenda kubulawayo ku taenda kupa stand tine stand yatakatenga kubulawayo tanotorwa mapicture tiri ipapo kuti tigowana news dzekutaura ndomba ndachiti maita zvakanaka but chiuya nemari nebudget yamashandisa kuno kuti taure nezvayo budget haina kubuda kubva musi iyoyo ndakanyora tsamba ndichireza motion yematambisirwo ari kuitwa mari muorganization ndiri board member kwete kuti ndiri member ndiri board member tsamba yangu yakaiginiwa ndikanyora imweyo yopiri ndichivafungidzisa kuti pindurai tsamba yangu yakaiginiwa ndikanyora rwetatu ndichideclare inonzi deadlock kuti hatichanzwanani pazvinhu zviri kuitika izvi ndandifunga kuti saboard member semunhu akapinda neconstituency ndine chekutaura muorganization
manje saboard member munenge muine mamwe eri mamembers ari kusupport.
Alright, so nyaya yechipfumbu yakakonzera a lot of issues for Zimura, and so ndosaka ndambotaurira vanhu ndikati vanhu vasingazivi background history yepolitics dzeZimura would think that what Derek and Amule and Karakara have done is new. No, it's not new. This guy akatombokonzera ma-problems, which gets me to want to talk about something. I think there's a big challenge where we get to elect people based on popularity, but not based on education, knowledge in corporate governance, understanding things like accounting, finances, and all that stuff. Because vanhu vanonetsa. These are the type of people wekuti anongokuudza kuti mari iri kubiwa. Why? Because vanhu vakaenda kutrip kubulawayo saka mari iri kubiwa. A new building, a stand had been gotten. Anyway, this is Chifumbu going on. There's so much, and Chifumbu akazouya futi, because remember ku podcast kwa Ollah Chifumbu akazouya. Let me continue. Guys, there's so much.
These notions that you file to or it's just you as Philip Arungo Shimiriroti.
Yes, ndakanga ndinawo vakanga chisupporta mudiwa wood was a board member at that time. I supported vanhu kutaura izvi.
I don't think that's true.
At the same time, ndatakura memorandum yeorganization. Tichazoiverenga.
I said I don't think it's true. I have to challenge that. I would actually then challenge and say, if he claims that Mudiwa Hood was supporting him, can Mudiwa Hood publicly say that I was supporting Chifumbu? That's not true. That's not true. That is a lie. That is a lie. But anyway, I'm just saying, calling it out, because names drop. And these guys like to do that. They will name drop, they will play dirty, they will do whatever, wanting to elicit reaction. Because let us remember that Mudiwa was in that previous board. That previous board approved the sale of the building, for example. There's a lot of things. And the way this issue now has been framed, Yakuita unga Alexio Ari1, when that Zimura main group, I got to say, I think there's a challenge there when you guys want to frame it as one individual. If you are claiming that there was fraud, whatever that was, then you are damning the whole board. And then do so. If you want to stand on principle. This is what I want these people to do, because they are playing politics. Stand on principle. If you're going to say, the problem, the whole board, kubva kuna nataverenga kubva una Albert Nyati, Jane Manyoa, First Farai, Mudiwa Wood, Alexio Gwenzi, then you would say everyone there is tainted. But you see, because they're playing politics, they want to be like, okay, what they want to deal with is, okay, we want to deal with Gwenzi. Now they're also saying a deputy minister, Dingimuzi Puti, they also want to get him chucked out as well. I think there was even a letter written by Amuli. And Chifumbu as well. Chifumbu wrote a letter somewhere trying to discredit the Honorable Deputy Minister. Can you imagine? Yeah. Panenya, Chifumbu.
Tasvika panofanira kuverenga. Zvadaro ndakazongoona parezwa motion yekuti ngatibvise Chifumbu mubhodhi. Andina kutongwa, andina kuita sei, ndakatandaniswa.
Aiwa, wakatongwa.
In fact, ndakubviswa procedural. Ndakatandaniswa mubhodhi.
Let me tell you what these people do. So in seeking public sympathy, it's like, the guy was misrepresenting Zimura. The guy was bringing the name of Zimura into disrepute, but he wanted to continue being in the board, doing actions that were damaging the reputation of Zimura, damaging the collection capabilities of Zimura. So you ask yourself, Kuti, this guy isn't serious. Because you can't say, I want to be kept in an organization that I am fighting and wanting to destroy. So it's the same thing for Nana Derek, Nana Joseph Karakara Namul. They are now playing to the same gallery of saying, persecutor and whatever. No. Your things were clear about what you want to do. This faction of three was clear. Could you want to remove Alexio Gwenzi? We want to remove Honorable Dingim Zuputi. That's what they wanted to do. Then they were calling for an EGM to nullify the elective AGM that happened. I even asked these guys and I said, we're just coming from an elective AGM. And already you're calling for an EGM. But ndimi wanu wacho murukuti makavoterwa imimi makavoterwa. And it's a bit confusing. Of course, they'll come with their points and they'll say, no, the secretariat is captured, but that's not true. Because these guys, Tembelami said something, I'm going to play it. I'm trying to play to get
it.
No, that's not why you're
fired.
That's not why you're fired. That's not true.
Research. Ndakaona kuti kuzimura kuri kumislead vanhu. One,
no,
kuzimura hakuna chinhu chinonzi executive director. Two, hakuna chinhu futi chinonzi deputy director. Highest rank yekuzimura general manager. Amwe ese ama officers. Ndosaka ndatakura memorandum from companies from custodian wemapepa enyika. Hakuna chinhu chinonzi executive director, hakuna chinhu chinonzi deputy director.
Okay, Philip, I'm coming back to you. Fred, I want your take on this. What's your take on the situation in Zimura?
That's Finto.
Situation in Zimura and Zimura has been captured. Police Ngube feels like she's the owner. She runs the company the way she wants.
And there you have it.
Police Ngube is occupied.
There you have it. These people are fighting personal battles against Policile. There you have it. They have said it themselves. Zimura is bigger than any individual. Of course, these people will claim, Kuti, this is why also you find Kuti, Vana, Derek, when they got in, they were like, we want to fire. This is what we want. Because I guess that is what they had promised their constituents to get the votes. I don't know. Right? And so, like I said, you have to understand the politics. So their battle is fighting with an individual. Right? That is their battle. But in the process of them wanting to fight with an individual, they are destroying the organization. Because they have issues with an individual. Guys, you are listening for it for yourself. I'm giving commentary. So it's not like I'm just speaking. Right?
A position that is fictitious. Executive director is not there. Deputy director is not there. These people don't work for Zimura. Not even. I will go in any court or wherever. They are not employees of Zimura. As I speak. Because they're not there.
I'm not sure.
It's like in Zimbabwe when you say we have a prime minister, when the constitution doesn't say so. So who are they? Mm-hmm. And I'm surprised the board respect them. For what reason? So what they do is when they're selecting board members, the nomination is held by the secretariat. So when they do so, they eliminate those people they suspect. They bring their people who they
that's not true.
And
how did you guys get into the board if they are bringing their people?
So at the end of the day, these people who are board members, they are board members because they were selected by the secretary.
We cannot compare Zimura with Zim, which is
before I come to
as a life
you,
president
because
for how
I
many
have a
years?
question pertaining to this for you. You are a board member. zvikunzi naFred munotaurwa nemi kuside kunzi ive vetu kuda kukuelekta. Is that what happens what happened when you were elected as a board member?
This is a good question
No,
because
ndakaelectwa ndakaiswa by public demand nema-members.
the
They told
election of board
kuti
members
ndinge
is
ndiri
by
board,
voting.
but ndakanga ndine
That's the
majority
bottom
Of
line.
the votes.
yakanga from the members.
Tembelami, you also contested to be a board member at
Okay,
some
now I like
point.
this, what
Why
they
do you feel you did not make the cut?
There's a system that is used to elect people when everyone is elected. And unfortunately, the first time I went there, when my
So this is
brother
Tembelami
Chifumbu
speaking.
was elected, I did not know that you needed to be nominated by someone first, and then you put in your nomination so that on the day of the AGM you can be voted in. I did not know that.
You
and
just
the reason,
did it directly.
and that is not an excuse, because ignorance is not an excuse. Everyone is supposed to.
This is quite interesting. I didn't learn something I didn't know. So Tembelami actually tried to get into the board 2 times. The first time he didn't get a nomination. He just went and he wanted people to vote for him. His own words. Then the second time, Akazoya nomination, but he lost. For those who think Zimura politics is easy, it's not. Because in terms of popularity, I would say that Tembelami is more popular than Chifumbu. In terms of popularity, Zimbabwe-wide. More popular than Chifumbu or Finto. Tembelami is known nationwide. A lot of people, when they hear the name Chipumbu, or Finto.
The memorandum, you're supposed to understand. And I love the way my brother is quoting the memorandum. And those are some of the things that need to be addressed. Where I disagree.
Let's address that quickly. I have here with me the memorandum of association. There it is. Nyaya memorandum yanetsa. And nyaya memorandum iri kunetsa because vangwanda kunza memorandum of association yakudhara. The same people who are claiming that Zimura isn't evolving are the same people who want to use a memorandum of association from 2000, I think around 2010. Can you imagine that? When we have this memorandum of association, especially resolution passed on the 8th of May 2023, this is the most recent. But these guys will not want to read from this. Why? Because they know that when they read from this, even Derek, I remember when we were on the group and they didn't even know about it. When Derek were like, yeah, we need to talk about the memorandum. I've got it. I've read it. Because when I got, this was my first time to run in a Zimura election. When I ran in this election, I wanted to get all the information. For me as a music educator, I wanted to get all the information. So ndakatoti ndipe memorandum of association. Because I don't want to run in an election and I don't know what our constitution says. I also have the old memorandum of associations, by the way. I've read them, I've compared. Yeah. The memorandum of associations I can read there. But it can show my musicians, musicians who are interested in reading this. Tembelami himself has there confessed that he doesn't even understand the memorandum of association. And he says he admires Chifumbu for that. I would say though, it's Chifumbu, it's good that Chifumbu knows his memorandum of association, but it doesn't mean that he's speaking the truth. Chifumbu is like those people who come with their Bible, vano Bible, but vane wrong doctrine, vane a false doctrine, but they vano gonna kukurira nekuti wewe unenge usingazivi. Right? So this is why people need to know their constitutions within companies, because Zimura, it's complicated, but listen, I know this thing, I've read it, and we can go on. Tembelami is going to say something later on. He's saying something actually now.
With my
so let's
brother
listen to him.
Is on how, and maybe it might be something that you will never see eye to eye, because I believe different, but he has also walked a journey
So Tembelami doesn't like
where
being
he has been
He's being very
fighting
polite.
for Zimura, because at
Yeah,
the end of the
he's being very
day, we are
polite
all
and
musicians
political.
and we want to see musicians do well. The only difference is on our approach
Of how you
of
do
how
it.
of how it is done. And I would like to disagree with my brother on saying these guys pick people that go in. Because if
Yes.
you look at the board that went in right now, of the guys that ended up disagreeing, very few of them were in agreement with the executive that is in there. It was maybe the guys that have been there before. I don't want to mention names because I don't want to make it a direct attack on someone. I want to be
He's being very political.
try
Very
to be
political.
neutral because
No, you're not neutral, man.
there
But
are things
you're being
that I'm
political.
seeing
You're treading
that maybe
carefully.
we're not considering
You're
as
treading
musicians.
Okay, so Timberland, just hold that thought a bit before we.
Yeah. So, I like what Timberland is saying. He's treading carefully, obviously. He's treading carefully. Because he's playing politics here. He's treading carefully. He's using his words very meandering. But basically he's saying, Chifumba, I don't agree with you, you are wrong. Okay, that's basically what he's saying. And it's true. Chifumbu is a problematic character for Zimura. Vana Derek, Ambuli na Garakara became problematic characters. And if you claim that Zimura irku electavanu ne secretariat, which is a lie, you see, because if the secretariat was the one who's determining who is coming in, they wouldn't have people who would disagree with them. The reason why people who disagree with the secretariat can be part and parcel of this can be part and parcel of the board is because the board people get there via election, you know. So anyway, let me play. What is
We
saying?
divert
There's a lot.
and transcript.
The thing is so long.
Ngaboto, what is your take as a
Ngaboto.
creative music, a creative industry consultant?
calls
What's
himself
going
a
on in
creative
Zimura? What's your
industry
take on that? If we can
consultant.
just chop it up so that we can discuss a lot more matters tonight.
Yeah. I think Zimura has become a constitutional delinquent in many
No,
ways.
how?
And also, probably the problem is that we've only had them as the main organization that seems to be the one that delivers this collection.
No,
of
it's not the
rights.
only one. There's another group.
That
You just don't know
monopoly
it.
has
It's
become
not
a
a
problem
monopoly.
in itself. For example, I'll go to what Temlan said about Zimura being the only ones that are the ones who have processes and systems to distribute money or to collect money, for instance. Zimura doesn't do much. They went for money to come from ZBC, which is 5% of ZBC's advertising revenue, and then they get money from elsewhere. Their simple job is to simply distribute that money to artists.
Let it just continue.
But here's the problem with Zimura. They don't even know how many times Japreza was played.
That's not
on
true.
ZBC,
That's wrong.
on Radio Zimbabwe.
Absolutely
They don't know
wrong.
how
What
many
can you
times
say
Japreza
something
was
like that?
played on Sky's Metro.
That is,
So what
how
much
can you claim
they
to be
then use
a consultant
then distribute
and you
this
don't know
money to
simple
say,
things? They
this
do
artist
know.
will get this figure
Oh
this
my
year. This artist will
You
get
see,
this figure
Timberland
this
at
year.
least stood up.
And then we come to what they've done recently, where the board is divided into two groups, and then the other board members who are left made a decision to fire the other groups. So I think it's something that probably we, as artists, they need to go back and correct the constitution that governs Zimura itself. Because
Why
you will
correct the
realize that
constitution?
what
Because
the
there are
current,
people who want
board
to
chairman
capture.
and other members who are left, what they've done, if we question that legally, what they've done might be found to be legally correct.
It is
according
legally correct.
to the
You know it's
Constitution,
legally
according
correct.
to the
That's
act
why these
that
guys are
governs
going
them.
to the public.
But that's something that is
They know they
fair,
don't have a
something
case
that can
legal.
go on to say
They're trying
if
to move
three
public
people
sentiment
are opposing
towards
you
their
can decide to
cause,
fire them
towards
and then
their
just remain
side.
with those board members that are on your side and continue with the organization. So Zimura itself as a system has many problems that we need to go back to the drawing board and decide if this is something that do you want to
You're
correct
speaking from a
Zimura
position of
and
ignorance,
go
my
forward,
brother.
or do you want an alternative? I believe an alternative is something that is possible. It's just
There
about
is
the will of
already
the
an
artist. They want to do
alternative.
this.
So you see, they're
Otherwise,
speaking out of
we will
ignorance. There's
always
already
come
an
here
alternative. The
time
reason we don't know the
and complain
alternative is
about
because the
these
alternative
things. Zimura has
isn't
been
doing a
having,
good
for example,
job anyway.
their
And I won't
administrative
mention the alternative.
fees and their staff
Because no
fees
one knows it.
are
I'm not
almost
going to make them more
50%
popular. The alternative is
that
not
come
known.
in for artists.
That's why people
There's no
think
way that
Zimura
can
is a
be fair,
monopoly.
'cause Zimura
And
doesn't
people are
have
trying to fight
employees
Zimura
all
because they're
over
saying
the
we want to
country,
fight
software systems that
Zimura
check,
being a monopoly, whatever. No,
musicians,
that's not how it works.
analytical
Zimura has
place.
most
They only
of
wait
the
for money,
members
just
and
pay
most
to
of the
bank
catalog.
account, and they distribute it. That
If you want to learn how to master using AI, don't watch YouTube videos. Why? There's too much information.
Okay.
That expense is unjustified.
It's continuing.
For your take on that, Mabuto, let's just cross over to Edith real quick. Edith,
okay, Edith comes
this
up.
is the situation we're dealt with, and you
president
represent
the
the Zimbabwe Musicians Union.
Busy castigating Zimura. Have they had elections with Zimura? Have they had elections with Zimura?
The issues of royalties, the issues of their welfare and their well-being,
Yes,
I'm sure is something that you would want to consider and take a look at and investigate as well.
I think this is why we are where we are at today, because we are trying our best to protect the welfare of the musicians.
How are you trying your
At
best
this
to
point,
protect
we've
the
become
welfare
the
of the
arch
musician?
enemy for Zimura.
How are you trying to your best to protect the welfare of musicians when you were busy supporting cover bands that were using composers' material without remitting royalties? No royalties were remitted for all that thing, and you say you are protecting the musician. No, you're not protecting the musician. You're protecting interests of your friends, because Zimu should basically be called the Zimbabwe Cover Bands Union. Because the Zimbabwe Musicians Union, I'm a musician. I will tell you that Zimu does not represent me. Zimu has not fought for any of my interests as a musician. Anyway, let's continue hearing what Edith has to say.
Because for them, Zimbabwe Musicians Union does not represent any members who are Zimura members. However, we have musicians that have come to us and said, look, we cannot individually speak for fear of intimidation, for
What
fear
are they
of
feeling?
being dismissed from Zimura. Could you please speak on our behalf? And I think the biggest challenge for Zimura is that I am not only the president of the union, but I'm also a musician as an individual in my capacity. And that is something that they are now finding as a tool of attack to say, oh, but Edith is a dismissed member of Zimura, because initially
yes,
when I
you're a
started
dismissed
speaking
member
about the Zimura issue,
There's
I
no
was
lie
speaking
in
as a
that.
musician who was feeling
You are a
aggrieved,
dismissed
and when
member.
I asked questions, and when I asked for the memorandum, of association, articles of association, these articles were not given to me until I went public, and then they were emailed to me. And I later found out that these articles that I've been sent were
comes
not
back
the same
to the
ones that
issue.
were in operation.
They don't want
and
the
so as a
current
union,
memorandum
we're in a
of
space where
association.
we
They
are
don't
meant
want
to
that
do everything
because
that we can
it doesn't serve
to
their
make sure
interests.
that the welfare
So
of
they'll
the
say
musician
the
in terms of
memorandum of
getting their
association as per the
royalties,
special resolution passed on
is
8
looked
May
at and is looked at
2023 is
fairly.
not the memorandum
And
of association.
we have tried to do this by talking to Zimura.
No,
And
you
this
have not
goes back
talked to
to,
Zimura.
I
No,
think
you attacked Zimura.
2018, when we were questioning the percentage of administration fees that Zimura charges or that Zimura takes for their administrative costs. And we even took this all the way to the head office of the body that is looking at a bigger body of collection societies in the world. And they say to us, the percentage that
Which
Zimura
body
is
is that? Why
taking
didn't you name it? Yeah,
shows that there's a flaw somewhere, because an organization that is this
name drop
old
without naming names so
should at
that
least be
you
taking
bring
between 10 to
legitimacy to something that's
15%.
not true.
So if they are taking 33, then it was 33% in 2018. I want to be 33, 34%. It's a lot of money, and something needs to be looked at, because that amount or that percentage only makes sense if an organization is under 10 years.
Okay.
Zimura has been over 40 years.
So now, Edith, thank you so much for your take. I want to bring...
An organization has operational expenses. This Zimura can only eat what it cures. It is not making any money. So if you're going to say we're going to have 18%, if you're going to say we're going to reduce it to 18%, how is Zimura going to be able to pay bills and all of that other stuff? Are you just saying we just want it to be 18% based out of emotion? Have you made calculations to look at the operational environment of Zimbabwe and to say at 18% the organization can function? Because for Zimura to be able to collect royalties, there's money that is used to print stuff. There's money that is used for fuel, for people to drive to the different areas, bars, My offices, Zimura has offices nationwide. Those offices, Zimura is paying rentals. and those offices employees. So what are you saying? Are you saying that they are going to close? So the issue here is, are these guys making their arguments based out of a sensible thing, or they're just being emotional and they know if we just move sentiment, let's fire people.
Back now to the gentleman in studio, and I keep going back to Philip to say, muri board member, manga muri board member, 30% in royalty fees. How is that justified and explained?
But I want to fast forward this.
Propaganda inoudzwa vanhu kuti tutura 30% because
This is day 1 of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts. This is day 21 of
our songs are played on radio. Sometimes you don't even get anything. I have a song called Chishu, which is in Manoa, Zimbabwe. It was played on radio Zimbabwe for some time. I never received anything.
Tembelami, how much are you getting in royalties?
Tembelami,
if you want to disclose. If you do not want to disclose, that's okay too.
I think my finances are a bit personal, and I would want to keep them that way. But I would say it's very little. Like what my brother said. Last year, one of my songs, Gorerino, was one of the top songs. It was NAMA nominated. It was number 1 on almost all the radio stations. So it did well in terms of radio. But one of the things that we are not looking at is we will need to fix our administrative issues. Like what my brother Shifumbu has said. Is there an executive director or is there a general manager?
Okay, so
how are they paid?
You said something that's interesting. I'm going to play again. There's so much to unpack. I liked what he did because he was like, no, I don't want to divulge my royalties because that's private. But I'll tell you that they are very little. So Tembelame exposes something that's very important that I've said for a very long time. That a lot of Zimbabwean musicians basically are struggling. He says, my song is NAMA nominated. A NAMA nomination is not money. I think I said somewhere, I explained how we actually have a problem with the Zimbabwean music infrastructure. That actually needs to be fixed. That is not a Zimura problem. That is a problem of the nation where we have put things in place that do not necessarily translate into financial gains or helping the musician financially. And it's great. You can get your NAMA. Awesome. Put your music out there so that you can get that. It will be nominated. But Gorerino is a gospel song. So to Tembelama, I say what I say to my other person who AGM. The other person I told you, obviously I don't tell you their name. That I told you, we had a discussion at the Zimura AGM. They were the AGM and we're discussing, we're talking about things. Remember, I was a candidate and we were talking. If we asked Tembelami to give us evidence of Gorerino, where Gorerino was played on the different stations, and to say, did you log it? Because here's the other thing I always tell people. No one is watching ZBC. No one is really listening to Star FM unless in their car. I know, for example, me, I only listen to Star FM when I'm driving, when I'm in the car. I'm just being honest. When I'm at home, I'm not listening to Star FM. I'm watching DSTV, I'm watching Netflix, I'm watching Showmax. I am watching YouTube. Or maybe I'm doing lives like this. Or I'm on TikTok, I'm doing TikTok lives. I've started doing a lot of TikTok lives. TikTok also is a place where people can actually make money. So you will find these people who think, "Izozitika finto pa TikTok tomwane, tika chaga chifumbu pa TikTok tomwane, chifumba ne YouTube channel, finta ne YouTube channel." I need to check those things because you see that sometimes a lot of these other guys, they are not also moving with the times. Very busy, but they are also not working on their own behalf to get their stuff moving. Anyway, so Tembelami says something very interesting, which is something I have said I once said in Nakapupetrone, I once said, I challenge any Zimbabwean musician. Kubva kune vacho vari popular, I challenge them to show the dashboard, their CD Baby dashboard, or their Chunko dashboard, to show Maria Varuguana from iTunes. Because what you will learn is a lot of people are not getting Maria Katumbo Wanda from those platforms. Where still, because the streaming manje kunana Spotify, sometimes neta ma 0 cents apana mari, unaona streaming ngekanyoro but ninge 0 cents, ninge 1 cent. 1 cent, 0.000. I know this because now we're a CD Baby dashboard. Now my music is on all online platforms. I learned a long time ago that this music industry is not kids' game. It's not easy to make money. And there was a time where Zimura even explained and said, guys, you have seen on your dashboards, the issue of my plays, it's not easy to really do things. So anyway, Tembalami then explained something about ad revenue. Let's listen to Tembalami going on. It's a long video.
And how do we adopt that or go back to what is true in our constitution and what do we need to amend? And those amendments have to go through the proper channels of amendment if they are to be amended. So we agree with that. But where I have an issue with is there's also an elephant in the room.
Come on now.
When I got paid the amount that I was paid, ZBC paid me $18.
$18.
$18.
Annual fee, monthly fee?
For the year.
Okay.
And I do not blame ZBC, but I blame the representatives that we sent to ZBC, because they went and said, ZBC, you pay us a percentage of your advertising revenue. That is me saying to Chifumbu, iwo kana wazoenda kuno advertiser, wazoningirikena, wazonpoka piece case or advertise. If he decides not to go and look for advertisers, I go hungry. And that's the decision that some of the people that we've elected or some of the people that are at helm at Zimura have gone to agree with, of which we kind of know that the biggest revenue that ZBC gets is not advertising, it's licensing. So I don't think that whole thing was made in good faith, because I'm the musician. If you are saying you pay 18 cents per play and you play 10 songs, no, it wasn't even that 18 cents, it was less than that. When we calculated it, the amount that we are getting from ZBC for the whole day as a music industry is about $4. And if you multiply that by 30, it's about what? $120. Multiply that by 12. You find that ZBC is paying the musicians $1,000 or something, the one channel, and then you add the different channels. And then when you look at that and you want to distribute it around between 5,000 artists, you're not going to get much.
So, talking about distribution, actually, Philip, I want you to help me put something.
Temba says something very interesting here. You see, if I like where this conversation is going to go, because when musicians actually start now coming out and explaining the things, hey, my brother, thank you for coming through. I like what Tembelami said there. Because Tembelami showed, and Tembelami understands what's going on. He's trading very carefully. Because come through into what is going on. You will see, Kuti, there is a lot that is happening. And as much as people are claiming that Zimura is the one that is at fault, the honest truth is that Zimura has just become a scapegoat, but there are other issues involved. So I was explaining in my first video how ad revenue has gone down. And obviously this is something that we as composers and Zimura needs to renegotiate with ZBC. And also to say, because remember, right now, licenses, the ZBC license is compulsory. And so it would be great if a negotiation can be reached that since ZBC license is compulsory and you're playing my musicians, can we at least have something that you give to those musicians? Because as of now, as far as licensing is concerned, there's no money that is coming from ZBC licenses that is going to musicians in terms of royalty payments. So are there issues? Anyway, let's go back to that DJ Ollah interview. Like I said, this other one is 2 hours. This other one is Pakaipa. There's a lot of stuff going on.
No, people like Victor Kunonga, Willis Watafi, Tina Shinyamkapa, Diana Samkange.
They are on your side.
They are on our side. And when the time comes, you see them coming out.
Why do they have to wait until Chahirega?
No, you see,
for them to come out.
You see, let me tell you.
So DJ Ollah asks a question. Vanhu vanosapota Zimura vari kupi? Inini, that's why I have come out into the open to say no. And I like also what Tembelami did, because Tembelami there in that panel, though the panel was a balance, and though Tembelami might have his own issues against Zimura, Tembelami there was the voice of reason. I would say, in answer to DJ Ollah, there's someone else has come out to say, no, guys, because at the beginning, Tembelami says, there's something that people are not considering here. And he brought in a very important point. But what DJ Ollah asked, I understand what he asked. Because the other side, they've taken advantage, Yekuti, they have gone very public with their issue. You heard when Tembelami started, he was like, guys, I don't think putting our stuff in the public was good. A lot of Zimura members hold that sentiment, that this thing should not be played in the public gallery. Unfortunately, it's already now playing in the public gallery. But a lot of silent, and what I would say, I would call it the silent majority. The silent majority, which doesn't speak, but you will see, just wait and see, because people, there are avenues, there are things that people can do. They can do silently, but it will make a change. It will be loud. It is the silent majority will be loud, because when the majority then says, because there are people who, they cannot come out and start giving blows for blows. That's not, what celebrities do. But for some of us, we have come out into the open. I gave an idea even to say, let Zimura actually start clarifying misinformation. Because what is happening right now concerning the Zimura issue is there's misinformation and disinformation. And that misinformation and disinformation needs a voice of reason. For me, I have become as a voice of reason to come and say, guys, I've read the Memorandum of Association. I've been reading it. I have the financial statements. You heard Ed Zataura Papa, good anga story in a Memorandum of Association. Meaning she didn't know. Because the thing I'm telling you guys is that there are very few musicians. Vayimbi were interested in reading my audited statements. Vayimbi were interested in reading the Memorandum of Association. Because what would happen is the musician wouldn't worry about those things. Musician, lawyer wake, accountant wake, or even a group of accountants. So we do not have that thing. We have that thing where every musician right now is a DIY musician, a do-it-yourself musician. This is the nature of the things. We don't have record labels. We don't have chi. Pane zvinhu zvekuti zviri kukonzera izvozvo. So I do want to ask members of Zimura who are silent though, can you at least speak out a little bit? Speak out a little bit to say, no, we do not support Amuli, Garagara, and Derek. And the truth is, people don't support, which is why people are quiet. Now the other side is now trying to put pressure. Hey, why is Ningi quiet? Hey, why is Ningi quiet? Because they're trying to put pressure. That is their game. Like I said, let's understand the politics that's at play here. That is their game. That is why they played this thing in the public gallery to say, let's get this thing out there so that when we get this thing out there, then we get the sympathies of the public, and we also put pressure on those who are not supporting us. On those card-carrying Zimura members who are not supporting us. If we put pressure and say, Hona is Actor public, Hona is Zimura Mbava, then those people are going to come to us. So these guys are playing a game. It's chess. They're playing a game. They are trying to put the organization in check. They are trying to do this and this and this and this. But they forget that the other side is not also just sitting. And this is where it is important that the other side now take proactive action. Because we're not having people who are we need proactive action. So let's go on with that interview. But yeah.
Like what happens is in life, kune vanhu vakangosikwa vari rowdy, vari all over the place. Kuna vamwe vakasikwa vari level-headed. Vanotonyarirawo ma-reputations avo kuti handingoonekwi ndichipopota pa-social media. Because we've got internal channels that we use to solve problems. You don't go on social media. So, so, but when the time comes, definitely muchaona action.
Action. Okay, that's fine. My board members, like you said, and Wachfumbu have challenged the leadership, Panyaye dismissal of other directors, and because of get the governance, the transparency, Zimura. So can I consider such a decision? Process say, how do you do it?
Right. Our constitution or our memorandum of articles in association, right? And I think it's Article 38, Section 38. It says if a director does something that puts the name of the organization into disrepute, they are supposed to be removed from the organization. I'll give you an example. A director comes out with a grievance and puts it on social media, or comes out and lie and says, "Wakatengesa building." How does the corporate world partner Zimura when you start washing dirty linen in public?
So let me read. This is the Memorandum of Association. 38. Removal of director. The association may by ordinary resolution remove any elected director before the expiration of his period of office, notwithstanding anything in these articles or in any agreement between the association and such person. That's 38. So constitutionally, directors can be removed. And I even explained, Chifumbu makes himself ngendega kabviswa. Pana imwe director kabviswa, and she never made noise. Hope Masike was removed from the Zimura board because of conflict of interest, because Hope Masike was sitting on the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe board, while also sitting on the Zimura board. And people raised an alarm. My members raised an alarm. There's a particular member who raised an alarm, not even part of the board. There's a particular member who raised an alarm and said, no, guys. And other people also started raising alarms. And she was removed. She never fought that because she understood what the issue was. So directors can be removed. It is not unconstitutional to remove directors. But what will happen is my guys are Sana Derek who will take advantage and say, I do not understand Jinish. They will come and cry to the public when they have done actions that lead the organization into disrepute, right? Sakam Panenyaya. Let me read. I'm gonna read Nyaya the council because Nyaya yakanetsa. You to write a co-accountant to co-legal. I am on section 35 of the Articles of Association of the Zimura Constitution. 35A says the council shall consist of the following directors. 1. 6 members of whom the majority shall always be full members elected by their fellow members at a general meeting, the elected directors. 2. 1 legal practitioner nominated by the association. 3. 1 individual with a university degree qualification in a commercial field nominated by the association. Right? So this goes to the question of legal. Legal can ano appointwa. So Guys, if you want to come on video, let me know. Do you want to come on video, guys? Let me know. You can even tell me in the comments. Let me know. Because I'm going all the way in one round. But if you want to come, I don't know. Just let me know. But I'm not sure. So, yeah. Let me play.
Do we work with the corporate world? So uningwa ku disadvantage about 5,199 musicians that are banking on the reputation
is
of
it not
the
because they've been quiet for too long? Why is Njitika behind the scenes until now? They say, okay, let's just put it out there.
Don't you think
so?
What is happening behind the scenes, Ollah? Do you think you have an idea of what's happening behind the scenes? What do you?
No, I'm asking you.
I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So if you say to me because of things that are happening behind the scenes,
you had said we shouldn't just post our dead linen in public.
No, I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. Privately.
When I say dead linen in public, I'm saying we are in a board. Any idea we vote against it 37 one.
Yeah.
You don't go to social media and say my ideas is just my new board members, we want things to change. No, it's no shandanima governance protocols. There's a process of doing these things. Votes.
So they are not following the process.
They are not following due process.
I would actually say this is good. I would say now that these guys have gone rogue, it's time now to release screenshots to the world. What were they saying? It is time because they have gone public. They released screenshots to Plot Marco. It is time. It is time because for a long time Zimura has just been silent. This is a call to the board to say, board, we deserve, also for me, like as a Zimura member and other Zimura members, we deserve to know, because these guys have been crying for transparency. It's time for transparency to come into the fore. Let WhatsApp chats that are damning to Vana Derek, Vana Mood, Vana Garakara, let them come out. Could you know, this is what these guys were doing. This is what these guys were saying. You know, he said that rowdy characters, Timboona rowdy, and whatnot, guys. There's so much to cover. I'm now tired. I don't know how long I've been going on for. My device might be going out of battery, and I think we need more time, right? Also, the other thing is, I think other people are going to see this after the fact. But anyway. Ndikatimbodzokera ku interview taurwa nemwe member, because remember Timbalame is a member. Vanachipfumba are no longer members, and Idida as my member. They were chucked out of the organization, but still we will listen to their stuff and we will call out their misinformation and their disinformation. But
how is money distributed amongst artists? Does it have to be everyone who is in the Zimura stable gets a piece of the cake? Is it the best performing artists who get a piece of the cake annually? How does that work?
Ndotanganda pindura engo yawe namkoma atembelani. Chinhu chekutanga zvandambotaura zveya kuti vanomisilidha maartist.
No, that's not true.
You are the one information isingatombo operate organization. Akuna chinhu chinonzi kubhadhara peplay ku ZBC ku Zimura. ZBC inobhadhara rights ku Zimura.
No, he's wrong though.
Zimura inobhadhara rights kuna artist. Zimura inongopiwa mari in bulk. Ndiyo iri kuita system yekuti iwe wakarira ka 5 tokupa 18 cents. But ZBC is to the artist akupiwa 18 cents.
That's not true.
Ku ZBC.
That is not true.
Chavanoziva ndechekuti takabhadhara 1 million ku Zimura. Not for Oliver Mtukudzi, not for Alec Macheso, not for Japres. Yema members akabhadhara ane rights atakapiwa neZimura. Zimura ndiri kupa vanhu ma 18 cents. Atidi kusvibisa ZBC.
He's playing a good game. This is chess. It's being political. Because
petinopinda panyaya yamabvunza kuti zvinofamba sei. Kune mari inonzi general license. Mari yegeneral license imari inotorwa mumahotels, mumabhawa, muchii. Iyo mari inofanirwa kudivhaidwa membership yose. Nenhau yekuti ini ndinogondera song yangu isingatoridzwa paredio
why are you
ngatipe
not
example
talking
yekuti
about
pamwe
the
iri
other
fauga
organization,
isingatombodzwa
the other
paredio
organization
but
that is
mumabhawa
collecting?
ichiridzwa
when
mumahodera ichiridzwa
when it doesn't
pese
have the
ichiridzwa
catalog,
nemashops
when it doesn't have the catalog, when Zimura is 5,000, iyo ikuenda pasikatomboridzi maartist ayo chinokollect.
mari yekuzbc sequence yakashandiswa nezimura yekuti tokupa according maitirwo ari kuitwa neloksheet zvepanguva iyoyo ndakaona kunge zviri right, but kune mari yakawanda kusuzbc ndinoona sekuti mamusician anomisilidwa zviri anomisinforma.
You think
ZBC
you are making assumptions. Unoona sekuti you're making assumptions. Doesn't mean you're right.
Fred,
You're making assumptions.
mislead and we told Gunzi pane someone that's badara mari, hence we cannot pay you what you owe you or anything like that.
Yes, I've been misled because vanotaura kuti kurira kwaunoita kuzbc ndomashera tichaita futi even mari inobva kugeneral license. General license imari inotorwa haina any document yekuti DJ anongosvika unoridza music titoridzwa kumabhawa uko, right? Obvanza no, we are giving you according to the way yawakarira kuredio kunorira, yes vamwe vanorira, but kubhawa kunewo so at the end of the day,
so here's the challenge. We don't have those mabao vachita malog sheets. Imagine bao every day munhu kutoba munhu basa kaikoko kuti taane log sheet kuti munhu ari kuridza music ngaanyore because munhu anenge ari mubao anenge achita, but it would be good, I think it would be good to have log sheets to address that issue, to have some form of log sheet or to have some form of digital system for that, because issue guy though it will draw noise, it's not really the issue. But it would be good because some people will claim maybe it then becomes difficult without evidence. As musicians we need to start doing better. Ndikati pane munhu anogona here kuuya oratidza kuti inini ndakarira apa neapa 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 but anobhadharwa mari. Everyone is just saying no, ndakabirwa mari because ndapiwa mari shoma. But have you actually done calculation? Because as musicians we need to become maybe more financially literate and financially interested. People are starting to get interested now, but obviously also there's that thing where a musician needs to have an accountant, a musician needs to have people who do this for them, because it's a lot of work. But considering our economy and our environment, we might need, as musicians, I think Zimura can do better in that regard of getting those log sheets out to create some form of log sheeting system, log sheets for these general licensing places. Noise it just stops, because you don't want to give people an opportunity to just make noise about this issue. Though the issue now is people are saying because ZBC Saga, that's why they use that, and it makes sense. We're saying good. Zviri kurira paredio ndo zviri kuridzwa because munhu anenge ane bhawa rake wants to play whatever is popular, right? So iwo since vari kuti takarira, and they're saying vakarira kuredio, kuredio kana makarira that whole mathematical thing is the one that's being used to say from general licensing we take a part of this. I want to go to Tembaland.
And so at the end of the day, music inongoshandiswa
someone who even raised it up as a comment.
I
told them
now,
I'm going to address
it's very unfortunate that Zimura is not here to answer to some of these questions and some of these allegations, because we did actually invite Henry Makombe, the deputy director for Zimura, to come through to the show. But a few minutes before the show started, they did send a message that if they were not able to make it, the message read in part that the panel was very unbalanced and henceforth they did not want to participate in this discussion. Now, I want to come to you and ask you about the issue of how royalties are being distributed here in Zimbabwe. Do you think there should be a way to restructure the whole distribution, whole distribution
Why
chain?
doesn't they do that?
Yes, I believe so. Zimura is already spending a lot of money on administrative fees. They should get systems that will allow them to know. Right now, Tembaland was saying that he was paid 18 cents per play. I've worked at ZBC before. That is not true. That system doesn't work like that. Zimura is given a lump sum from whatever revenue is determined by that year. They decide by themselves how they are going to pay Japreza, how they are going to pay another artist who is not known. So it's them who determine that process. But that process that they're using, as long as there is no data to support that this is the reason why we're giving you this much. For example, if we look at South Africa is a radio monitor. They know how many times a song has been played on radio. They know there are even awards where someone has played the most on radio, or radio automatically goes for a certain award. They know that this is the most popular artist is going to get this award because there is evidence to support that. So I will implore Zimura to, even the artists themselves, to push Zimura to create a system that allows them to see, at least on all radio stations, know how much the song is being played. Yes, there are other monies that will come from other departments, like they were saying, the lodges, the restaurant, the other licenses that will be taken.
Remember also in when I ran
then can be distributed if there's money for that purpose. But let my song, like Temlan saying that yet his song at number 1, that should be reflected on realities. And it's not a ZPC problem. It's not a ZFM problem. It's not anyone's problem. That is the problem of Zimura, not taking that money and distributing it accordingly. It means, one, Zimura doesn't know which artist is being played. They don't know which artist is popular. They're just playing feature in the office to say, we will give this much to this person, which is not fair to artists, especially if you know that you hear those great songs or that great
Dr. Malami, you seem to disagree. Your face is showing shock and some sort of disagreement.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with, respectively, with most of the guys here. Zimura does have the data. Our radio stations are now digital, including Capital, Star FM, ZFM. We all know which songs get played because they are on a log sheet. It was back then we didn't know. Now we actually know who gets played and who doesn't. If you go to Star FM today and say, which songs did you play? They will tell us, breakfast show, we played this and this. They have everything. All the data is there. Even at ZBC, they are now digital. They are now world class. Our radio stations are on point. Where I was going with my conversation was, we are not blaming the radio stations. We are blaming ourselves for not doing what is happening internationally. Internationally, songs are paid per play according to the size of the radio station. And as a broadcast authority, they can decide and say, if you're a national station, you are listened to by 17 million people. Whenever you play a song, you pay the artist this much money. And then if you are a local radio station or a college radio station, whenever you play an artist, you play an artist this much money. If we do that, then we can be able to actually articulate and say, if I have a hit song today, this is how much I can get paid.
But then
Zimura doesn't do that yet.
Before you go any further,
yeah, maybe that Tembalama addressed that. That guy, whatever, that guy didn't know anything. He came on this panel. So this is what happens, right? And I'm also glad that the guys at Zimura said, no, panel is unbalanced. Because sometimes maybe these people are loud on social media, but how can someone say Zimura doesn't have information that it has? So this person should do research. And before they come onto the panel, they should do research. From the onset, actually, go claim there's a constitutional crisis. No, the constitution is there. And the constitution is being respected by those who know it. And then those who don't know the constitution, they disrespect it. And then when they get fired, then now they say, Zimura isn't being constitutional because I'm fired. No, read it. You have been fired because you have brought the organization into disrepute. Panenya general licenses, I'm going to address it because someone on my YouTube also asked me. I'm going to also address them on the YouTube with the comments as well. The thing about that is, first of all these places that are playing music, ask it, I'm a look shit. Okay, so maybe Zimura can do better there. But now the question is, who's gonna be logging that? You see the difference between ku radio and ku radio, ibasa ra DJ, ibasa ra the radio, to make sure that, because their business is the business of radio. Mu restaurant, kuti tigoti pane munhu anotonyora kuti nasicharidza zvakati it's a bit difficult, but maybe a way can be found to say, okay, let's especially now because of technology. So and this is not maybe to play a computer. Then there's a system that's monitoring the whole nation. But it was not a mari. This is where the other point comes in to say, we cry about a lot of things, but we have to understand operational issues. To that kind of software to be everywhere. Because that has a lot to do with digitalization. And as a nation, has such a shika papa in terms of technology. To bawa rese, bawa kwa mrewa uko, bawa kwa mrambinda uko, bawa kwa gugokwe, to bawa ese, aite system manch. And remember, it's not all things which are paying. Zimura is trying. But now one is still compliant. But now one is still bad. So people act like everyone is paying. We also have a compliance problem. Guys, I really want to go on and on and on, but there's so much to discuss. Maybe I'll do this over some other days. Let me give it a rest. I'm tired. But I wanted to talk about these things. And like I said, kuneva noti, hakuna ma accounts, hakuna ma audits. I've got the stuff here. And I can actually do a podcast where I will read the figures. Sorry, that's my keyboard that's doing that. That's my keyboard, because yes, I think you can see the keyboard there. So each charo on a keyboard, and yeah. So there's the keyboard. Anyway, yeah, I've gone live for a very long time. There's a lot to talk about, so if you want to ask me questions, you can ask in the comments. Like that guy on YouTube, I'm actually happy that he commented, and they got commented so far, and I think more people even start commenting. Let's have this conversation. I think it's a good conversation. I think it's a good conversation now to have, because what is going on and all that stuff, and people should be informed. Alright guys, so yeah, there's more to talk about. I haven't even finished these interviews, because this interview here is 1 hour and 3 minutes. Interview kwa Ollah, yakaita 2 hours 24 minutes. It would take me days to unpack each and everything. But I think this is a good thing to unpack this stuff. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for those who came through. And those who are going to watch, and also those who are going to watch on YouTube, because like I said, I'm going to put this on YouTube. So I know it's getting more views as well from that. I'm also putting it on X. So some people are watching on X, some people are watching on Facebook, some people are watching on YouTube. And yeah, I want to have more conversation about music business and music in general. We're going to have these conversations. All right, guys, thank you so much. This is the end